Hi everyone, Lee Garden Free here. I know it's been a really long time, I'm sorry, there's no real excuse. This is the first match in the THQ 2v2 random tournament. Random in the fact that your teammates are random. So I've got me playing as the Wehrmacht today with my random ally Kung Fu Panzer. We are both ranked 11, so we make a good all-around team. We're both average players, but we have a pretty good idea of what's going on, so it works out nicely for us in that respect. And I can now record videos past 20 minutes, which is what I've been waiting for as well, which is why I haven't uploaded a video, because I know when you upload a video in 2 parts, people don't watch it because they can't be asked. So, and also it takes more time to upload because you have to divide time to do it in 2 different chunks, so it's a lot better this way to just upload it in one big chunk. And I will be speeding it up in a bit. So I'm just telling you about this tournament. It was a tournament that was played I think 3 or 4 weeks ago now. So yeah, everyone was assigned with a random teammate. So we were against Micro and the good old G-Road. We were the only people to play round 1 game because a lot of people didn't turn up. There were supposed to be some big names like Helping Hands and stuff like that, but it was an England only tournament. So a lot of people didn't show up for that reason. I think people signed up and actually weren't from the UK. And then you also just had people that didn't press the sign-in button at the right time, and people who forgot when it was. So unfortunately, we were the only ones who had to play a round 1 game, and everyone else got an instant pass to the quarterfinals. So fuck that shit, I say. So we're gonna play, and also you get randomly assigned who you're gonna be. So we had to play as the Wehrmacht. They got assigned to play as the Americans, which pissed us off because my ally Kung Fu Panzer has never played the Wehrmacht properly. And I prefer to play as Americans, as you probably know, but we're going to have to make do. So at the bot, my ally has got out a quick motorcycle to get some harass on these NG squads early on while they're capping. Meanwhile, I'm going to secure top with my Vogue squads. I always open up on 2v2s with, I think it's 1 Vogue squad, 2 Pyos, and then a machine gun crew. So I'm just going to do some battles here against the engineers. I'm trying to cap as many points as I can and harass. As you can see here, I'm losing this fight. But that's fine because I'm going to do damage to these engineers down here. I want to push Micro off the map up north. I think these guys were, I think, if I remember correctly, G-Road was level 9, and I think Micro was level 10, I'm going to take a guess. So they're a pretty even level to us, so it should be a pretty good game. And, well, we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how we fare in this tournament. It was not a high-level tournament, I'm going to say that now. If I get a comment from someone who goes, "Oh my god, all you guys, you was playing in a tournament, you're so newbie," it was actually a very relaxed game, relaxed tournament. Like I said, a lot of the professionals, like Hans, didn't actually show up in the end. So because of that, you have more of a medium-level tournament. I think there's only 1 guy in the tournament that was like, you can say, of a very high level, and you'll see what happens with that at some point later on. Krebs Co should also be recording other games. I'm just going to do my one specifically because I wanted to show you what it's like. So, and I also get to show you another person playing for once, which I think is really good. So we're going to see what Kung Fu Panzer does, and you can see he's using a bike strategy. I don't like using the bike, so I'm not very good with my Micro, but you're going to see him trying to damage these riflemen, and I'm going to help him out by bringing Vokes. So we didn't talk a lot, and we couldn't use microphones because he didn't have a mic, which is really annoying. But I tried as really hard to use synergy. So you see there, he was holding that rifle squad down with the pyro and bikes, and I brought a Vogue squad to scare him off. Up north, Micro does blobbing, mass blobbing, to completely piss me off. But I'm going to prepare for this. I got my MG set up, and I've also got mines. So I just kind of backpedaled and forced him into this trap, so my NG could get a lot of damage on, and then I can use my Pyos and my Vogue squad as a counter-attack here. So it worked quite effectively. You see, I completely broke the harass here, forced him off, and I think I get to kill his NG squad as well. Yeah, so that was a small victory. And I'm just going to start spamming mines everywhere up top to try and secure the position for me. We'll see how that goes. Down in the south, we've got Vogue squads with Kung Fu Panzer's bikes against G-Rood. You can see he's using this bike very aggressively to force the rifleman out of cover. He knows what he's doing. This is a really good tactic you can use with the bike. Distracts and also forces out riflemen from cover. He loses a flame pyro squad here though, unfortunately, and that gives the rifleman some XP. And I'm just going to hold here with my Vogue Grenadiers and try and buy us some time. In 2v2s, I escalate through the skirmish phase and through to the assault phase, isn't it, where you get Pumas and Stews. I like using armor, and my ally is going to be staying on tier 1 longer than I am. because he's going to get out a few more MGs, a few more Vogue squads, and I'm going to be bringing in the heavy armor, hopefully. That was the plan we had. So let's speed this up a bit, because even though I do have a quicker limit now, I don't want to be like making a massive video because it takes too long to upload games. So we're scaring them off in the south. We've got pretty good control there, although my ally just lost another Pio squad, and I think he's going to lose that MG, although I can stop it. Here up north, I get completely... Micro does another blob strategy, and to be fair, this is very effective. Instead of trying to push up north where I've mined it to fuck, he's just going to cut me off down at the bottom and bring a mass amount of troops, so I can't really do a lot about it. Bonham is secured, and as you can see, I'm now building a Stum armory, and my ally is building a Kampfkraft center to get early, strong level 1 units. So he's cutting me off with the harass down here. We don't actually realise how strong he is at this stage. I'm able to get an MG down there, but his massive blob of rifles is completely cutting us off. And it's a very effective strategy because we can't do anything about it. And here they come in for that thing. Luckily they walk into that bunker and it completely slows them down. We set our MGs, but I think I'll lose my MG crew here. Keep them alive just about. And that forces a full-scale retreat, which actually saves our bacon there because they completely cut us off. But because of that, this allows G-Road to get back into the fight with his units, and we're just going to try and kill with the Vogue squads. My strategy, even though it's a bit spammy and people might hate me for this, is to go for stews and then veteran seed them up to fuck. And also, in particular against these kind of like American blobs, it works quite well because they can't do a lot of damage to them. And they kind of the stews can just sit there and unload all hell of damage. Up in the north, my secured section is now being harassed, and you're going to see a lot of fail micro on all parts. Actually, we were all really nervous coming into this game because this is our first match, and I really didn't want to go out in the first round. Last time I played a Company of Heroes tournament, I went out in the first round, and I was so depressed, and I was like really fucking nervous, and my micro was just atrocious. South has been captured, north has been captured, and now I think Micro does get a minesweeper, which is annoying because now he's actually prepared for all my mining antics, which is depressing because I felt like I was so clever to do that. So I've got 2 MG crews in these Vokes. I'm saving up for another stew, I think. And I'm just literally helping my ally Kung Fu Panzer, because you see now he's got snipers, so he's going much more infantry heavy, really good against these rifle blobs, and I'm bringing the armor to support. So that's what I mean, you can't really both build the same thing, you've got to kind of synergize with each other. Even if you're not really talking, you've got to be the one that looks at what your teammate's doing. Like, we got on well, but we didn't really talk a lot, so I saw that he was going for heavy tier 1 infantry, and I thought the best way to support that would be with tanks and stews, so that's what I did, because they're cheap and easy to make, and once you give them some veterancy, oh my fucking god, did they rape. Unfortunately, Micro and his blob is slowly capping up north, and he's got minesweepers now, which is taking out my mines, and to counter my mines, he's going to place mines up top, and they've got a really good victory point control. So we're just going to speed this up a lot here now. I went for the Blitzkrieg Doctrine so I could get infantry assault teams. I love Blitzkrieg Doctrine, I think it's the most useful. So I'm like, oh crap, we have to really capture points here, so we're going to try and get onto that. I'm using my Vogue squads to capture these points, and in comes the push from Micro. In counter, I'm going to start bringing out Stormtrooper squads, and am I upgrading any veterancy? I'm not yet, but I'm getting out another stew. So I see this massive blob, and I immediately start backpedaling, so I assume he's going to have the deadly, dreaded sticky bombs. I'm going to push up further north with my Stormtroopers. In the south, I'm using my Vogue squads and assistants with Kung Fu Panzer snipers to wipe out any final influence from G-Road at bot, but this blob is a real problem for me to counter with. I really can't do a lot against it, and I'm scared of getting completely screwed over, so I'm going to retreat those storms. They're pushing into the centre again, so I've got my MG set up with a stew supporting it, and unfortunately they don't fall into that trap, and they're actually walking straight into here. And do I turn my stew? I can't remember, but here they are, they're coming to push. So we're going to have to get the stew firing, and the problem is they've got so many rifles that my MG cannot hold them, and I'm getting completely butt-fucked, so I'm like, Jesus Christ, what do I do when the MG goes down? In reply, I'm just like, fucking Pyro, go for it, go Pyro, go, burn them all to hell, yeah, go Pyro. And look at the damage he did. He suicided, but he took like 7 of them down, and it was amazing because it completely screwed him over, and Micro has to retreat those blobs again with stew support. Oh no. Oh. I thought I was going to freeze again. Yeah, this thing has a tendency to freeze and crash, and I hate it when it does that. in response to what we're doing, G-Road builds a armoured car. Not what I would have done, I would have gone straight for the AT. But then again, I guess it helps him against the infantry style of my ally King Kung Fu Panzer. Got the first veterancy on my tanks. And I'm going to try and push up north. But just as I'm about to do that, in comes Giroud with the armoured cars. And I'm trying to stop victory points being captured. I'm just using my Vogue squad and my MP44s desperately to try and kill these rifles because they haven't got bars yet, so I'm still stronger, but I don't want to lose my units. And I'm like, oh my god! But luckily, armoured car does not beat Stu, so I'm just going to walk in, supporting with my stormtroopers. I'm kind of ignoring the north at the minute because I want to help Kung Fu Panzer keep his position south, because unfortunately, even though he's a very good player, because he's infantry heavy and really sniper heavy, he can't do a lot of damage to him if they actually break through his initial defences. So I'm having to support him with my Stews and Folk squads so he can keep laying down the damage whilst I pin them down. I mean, like, the Stews aren't doing a lot of damage, although that one is 7. Jesus fucking Christ, when did that happen? And I'm trying to cap north, but now you can see Micro is not a retard. He has mined, and I don't buy a minesweeper for ages. In fact, I don't think I ever do. So this is what I keep falling into every time I go up north. I think I ignore that mine, but then this mine takes me out. And every time I forget about that fucking mine. It's ridiculous. I just never bother. It's stupid. Got a neighbour warfare now because I know he's blobbing. Oh, I know he's blobbing. So I thought the best counter would actually just to get one neighbour warfare just to help me suppress and try and predict where he's going. I always hotkey my neighbour warfare so I can just use him as almost like an on-map ability. They use artillery shot to try and kill my Stew. I just have to reverse it the fuck out of there, but then in response he gets a sticky bomb on it and I'm like, no! So that's out of action, but my ally is going to repair it for me. That's brilliant. On the other side, Micro is getting his rifle spam ready to crash into our position, which is not good. And now we're really low on units. I only have Stormtrooper, Pioneer Squad and 3 Vokes. My ally has got 2 snipers, a couple of grenadiers, and that's about it, although he's got Vet 3 grenadiers, so they're dangerous. So now we're a bit worried. At this stage I honestly thought it was going to be GG because we're just getting completely like raped now. But we're going to stay in the fight, and whilst we've got the fight going, where do I land that noble rifle shot? Does it go onto that blob? Oh no, I tried to stop them capturing that point. Right. So in comes the blob. They're probably going to try and aim for my noble warfare. And we see them coming in, so we're going to try and make an encircling movement here on them while we can. So my ally, Kung Fu Panzer, is going to get his Vet 3 Grenadiers in there, even though they're going to severely outnumber. They've got bars now, which is also very dangerous. But we got an MG completely pinning them down. I've got my one Stew firing in on them. And as that's happening, we're going to completely encircle them with Stews and Panzers. At bottom, I've got Stormtroopers trying to do some damage and harass and pin Geode, so he can't help Micro. The big encirclement with the Stew tanks and the MG, some Kung Fu Panzer, force a retreat. Once again, Micro mass retreats his units frequently, so it makes it very hard for him to keep map control. Down at the bottom, my Stormtroopers are helping stop Geode, supporting his ally, which is nice. Kung Fu Panzer's got his snipers to help screw them over. I'm going to move in my Stew tanks to try and kill that armoured car, but then I don't notice the AT gun that luckily for me was in reverse mode, so I'm able to get out there without taking damage straight away. I really want to kill that armoured car, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen yet, because Stews are very inaccurate until you get proper upgrades. Moving in with my 3rd Stew up north, so I've got 3 Stews out at the minute, and to support them I'm building more and more support tanks, although I think this is the proper... So once again, sticky grenade on those guys, which is really annoying. This is a real scattered fight now, and now Geode is smartening up, and he's getting a lot of AT to deal with my tanks. I think I do lose this Stew tank here. No, I lose a tank. Oh, I lost my 1 tank to an artillery shot, which is really depressing. So I'm like, oh, I can't really lose another one, otherwise I've lost my tank dominance. Up north is mines and rifles continuing to do work against me and forcing and stopping me from being able to take control of the north point. However, my ally Kung Fu Panzer is doing a really good job with his Vet 3 Infantry and Pioneers, which he's also got Vet 1 Infantry on, to just try and hold back Giroud from pushing out. Micro is coming in with his rifle blob, and we're going to have to try and make what defense we can here. As you can see, I'm just going to get slaughtered and I just retreat them. I know at some point I do get an urban assault stew, I think, I don't know, something like that. They're really good for just clearing out infantry blobs like this, and also in response to this infantry blobbage, and also because this guy's AT is not tank destroyers but instead AT guns, I'm actually starting to focus more on stormtroopers. So that's another thing you've got to remember to do, is adapt your strategy to what's happening. Like, I could keep building stews, but then they can't kill rifles quick enough, and with AT gun support, they're going to put sticky bombs on, pin me down, it's ridiculous. So instead of just sticking to my original strategy, I'm going to work with it, and I'm going to start getting a lot more stormtroopers, and I'm going to start investing in veteran seed that I would have put on tanks otherwise. There's no point when they've got such a good anti-tank build kind of building up now. So instead I'm going to try and just buy myself some time. They're raiding the north, our north point again. I'm trying to keep my stew tanks alive. One of them, you see, this is terrible micro, one's in reverse, one's completely screwed over. But I got my stormtroopers coming in to help screw those guys off. They're going to try and push here and encircle. Unfortunately, they get a really good doctrine of artillery barrage on our bunker, which is really bad. I don't even know how that died. Oh, Panzertrekker, okay. But they actually can't force us away yet. They're trying really hard to get rid of this position we have in the centre. I don't know why I built this bunker, by the way. I think I tried to make it into a medic bunker, but I forgot. Luckily, the stews being repaired by my pyros are going to be able to pin back these ones, and whilst that's happening, I'm going to flank with my stormtroopers, forcing away Micro's rifles once more. In the middle, I've got one Volksgrenadiers with MP44s, which I use to kind of scout ahead and clear out these fucking AT guns that are giving us so much trouble in being able to push up with my stew tanks. So they're going to go. And luckily, I think I just chased them right off the map. Down in the south, Kung Fu Panzer is now going to blob up and push down and force Giroud once again from that point. Giroud. Up north, my third Stormtrooper squad, which is getting upgraded with MP44s as well, is going to help me regain control of the north slowly but surely, because we also have a war to be winning up there to get the victory point. We're still losing the victory point control scheme, and once again he's completely mined, and I don't bother with a fucking minesweeper, it's ridiculous. I do it again, get my units screwed over. So I'm going to move up my stews to help support at the bot. As you can see, I'm still harassing with my Vokes as well to keep these AT guns as far away from my tanks as possible so they can get good harass going on for me. And here's another fucking unfortunate thing. A mine just completely raped my Stormtroopers, and I raced a really expensive unit. Because Stormtroopers are great, but they're expensive. You don't want to be doing a lot of damage on them. Down in the south, we have the same old thing of Kung Fu Panzer trying to harass those rifles off, and then we've got a counter-attack in the middle. And we're kind of just reaching a stalemate, and we're at the halfway point. I'm just going to have to speed this up again for a bit because I don't want this to be going overboard the limit quite a lot. So now I've got a Stu 42, which is the exploding one, which is really good at killing infantry. So you can see me use that to help at the north. I finally got a bit of a foothold on that fuel position, but the rifle blob just comes in at the worst time. It completely fucks me over. I'm too scared to move these tanks on the southern position because I'm scared of Giroud's possible counterattack. He's got a Sherman out now, as you notice on the minimap. There was a big infantry battle here where I lost a lot of units to grenades, and I lose more units to mines, which is really annoying. You see, that's my big mistake, big noob mistake, is I never fucking invested in a fucking minesweeper, because I am an idiot, and I love mines. They're so delicious, watch that. No! So, yeah, I don't give two fucks about mines, I eat them for breakfast. Like the Soviet Union in that respect. But because of that, I'm wasting serious manpower and resources, which really need to be used in the southern position, where Kung Fu Panzer is now starting to struggle a bit. You're going to see my stews try and take on this Sherman with very little effect, but luckily I'm able to just kind of sit there and take it anyway. You're going to have to reinforce down in the north, and I'm getting now pushed in on the north by Giroud's rifle spam, supported now with AT guns from Giroud, no, from himself as well. My stews are actually able to do serious damage to that Sherman and force a retreat, and I'm now going to push back into the middle of the map with my Stormtrooper blob. What's that? Oh yeah, I used my Noble Warfare to suppress those rifle squads, and up north Giroud is starting to move back in. So I want to take control of the centre again. I'm going to go, well, fuck the north, I can't be arsed, I need to help secure the bottom and the south, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to kill these rifles and force that back, something fierce. My anti-infantry capabilities are very powerful now, but then I get artillery and I wasn't looking, and there's a fucking storm squad again. to retreat them out. And then I walk into this. Like, Micro is really good at harassing the northern points and forcing my attention away from the centre and from helping Kung Fu Panzer to having to support my northern positions, and it's really annoying because I can't do a lot. I am not really synergizing, I'm not really using my units in one force rather than just kind of walking in. I'm going to have to slow down here a bit. Luckily though, Norbauer for support for some reason causes Micro to retreat. You see, this is his issue. Whilst I am not very coordinated with my attacks, Micro is too scared and always mass retreats these rifles, when really he shouldn't be. He could keep them there to keep me completely annoyed and focused on the northern point. Because as you can see here, the anti-tank build of my ally, Kung Fu Panzer, is completely screwing over Giroud, and he is being completely forced off the map. Giroud, in terms of Kung Fu Panzer, in terms of map control, is doing a lot better than me in keeping Giroud pinned in his base, and he is not able to get out easily. But then on the flip side, Micro is not helping him, and instead of helping him, he is focusing on the northern points, trying to pin me down. But then in response to that, I'm moving in the south to further push Giroud back into his base. And this is where we're starting to get a bit of a foothold, because even though we haven't got the north, the middle and the south are ours. And the biggest tip I can give to you is, if you keep attacking a point, if you attack a point once, like I attack the northern point and I get pushed back, try again. If you get pushed back a second time, don't bother. There's no point, because you're making that point more secure for the enemy, you're getting manpower drained, and you're losing valuable units. Especially in 2v2s and 3v3s, it is much better to support your ally on a mass assault in the middle of the map, rather than kind of banging your head against a wall that you can't win against. So as you can see here, Kung Fu Panzer has to pull back a bit, and in response to that, I'm going to assist him by pushing Giroud back into his base with my vet-free stormtroopers. They're going to fuck everybody up. And as you can see, that really works. And instead of Micro helping him, Micro is just slowly and really afraid, because of my Norbauer for some reason, is moving back into the northern position, and it's completely pointless because he's not helping. He is not helping Giroud in any way, and now Kung Fu Panzer snipers can go to work. And look at this guy, 19 kills. He's firing like a fucking machine gun. It's ridiculous. However, this also does mean that I am not getting any control of the north, and if I do leave it, then eventually we'll just get wrapped up. So you can't ignore one position, but what you can do is strike somewhere else and try and get a response. The response for us was that we completely screwed over Giroud, but then but instead of supporting him like most people, oh my god, like most people would, Micro instead tries to make for a sudden counter-attack in the middle of the map, hoping to force us from our middle position. But we've now got enough units where I can keep my stews in the middle at the bot and support Kung Fu Panzer's defensive position, and still have enough units like my stormtroopers to screw over Micro, because his units are completely infantry dependent. And due to this, my build means that I can keep my tanks down with Kung Fu Panzer whilst his infantry deals with Giroud, whilst my infantry can then be used elsewhere to completely dispense of Micro's blob. So you're getting all this, are you writing it down? Because I hope you are, because this is some juicy information I never thought about. You'll see that I'm saving up manpower, and that's because I want to get out the King Tiger, and I want to finish this battle in style, so we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to just do a super speed up. You can see now that we're really starting to turn the tide of this game. My tanks in combination with Kung Fu Panzer's excellent defense is working brilliantly. I've now got a Vet 2 King Tiger out, which is going to really change the pace of the game. I finally get a bit of a position. I finally start to do this thing where I'm really starting to harass the northern point. You see there, I took out some engineers and their defensive bunker, but I still can't really break into it yet. I mean, look at all these craters. It's ridiculous. But we're really starting to work now. We're really starting to push. The southern point is now ours. There's no question about it. We have complete control. Giroud can do very little other than try and help push through the centre now. So this is actually when they're at their most dangerous, because actually they're now pushing together because they're forced to. So here comes Giroud from the south and Micro from the north. But my King Tiger is able to absorb a lot of this damage. I mean, look at that. He just tanks a lot of it, even though I'm forced to retreat. But with my stew support, we're just completely able to batter this northern position with naval wolfers as well. They really can't do a lot here. They're getting pushed back again and again because of our defensive line, and this is what the Axis are good at, creating a strong, solid line that just gets more and more powerful as the game drags on. Giroud is now going to actually... This is the first time Giroud's been on the northern part of the map, and he's going to try and make some influence. You see he's got a tank here, which is a lot more devastating than any of the infantry blobs that Micro's been sending at me, just because I haven't got much AT by myself. But look at all these grenadiers Kung Fu Panther has. That's at least 5, and that's going to make it very dangerous. But then in comes the blob, Micro to try and force me back. But I'm going to match him point for point with my Infantry, and you're going to watch this. I got that, you know, that ability where you can throw fuck tons of grenades, stuns and forces another mass retreat from Micro, completely unnecessary. And yeah, completely just screws him over. The grenadier support from Kung Fu Panther is annihilating these tanks. And did I mention this is a best of 1? This is a best of 1, so it was down to 1 game. Look at that massive shot in the back of the tank, fucking it up. It's wonderful. So we're now just slowly pushing through. I love how my tank's at full health, but it still has an engine problem. But I don't care because it's a fucking Tiger tank. They got Rangers, but Rangers aren't going to save you against this much anti-infantry firepower. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. They got an artillery piece now, but it's not really going to do a lot of good for them. It's getting to the point now where we're really starting to get ahead in points and kills, and I'm finally, after all this time, able to start making a push in the northern part of the map, although once again I probably will be pushed off at this stage. So we're just going to speed it up. We're going to see a big push up north. As you can see, the southern position is completely in Kung Fu Panther's control, and he's starting to knock into the base here. In response, both of them are going to have focus on trying to defend the northern point, but really it's pointless because even if they get the northern point, the centre and southern point of the map is in our control, which means the victory point countdown is now in our control. And they know this, and then Micro, once again, is going to go for that central push, but I'm going to activate that ability that name I forget, and it's going to throw grenades everywhere that stuns the infantry, and my vet-free stormtroopers can easily take on masses of this rifle blob, especially because they're not veteran. And then I can follow that through with some Volks grenadiers. They can just get some last minute hits off, and like really damage wise I'm doing a lot more now. And with this hedge gone, my tanks can just unload endless waves of damage into these rifles and grenadiers, and there's not a lot they can do, and they actually survive those folks. So you can see how we built our builds in response to what they're building, because it's so infantry dependent and the tanks are coming so late. We just have heavy anti-infantry capabilities, and we're forcing Micro off the map, and G-Road cannot do anything about it other than sit there and watch it. Did I finally get a med bunker? Did I even bother? No, but my ally did. Well done on Kung Fu Panther's part. So we're just going to speed up again. You're going to see another push there, but the Sherman don't give a fuck. I'm going to engage the Sherman with my King Tiger, supported with a lot of my infantry. We're just going to fuck over that Sherman. You can tell at this stage, unfortunately, they just know they've lost it. It's a done game. And because of that, I'm going to speed it up if you don't mind. But we'll be doing the other games in our series, and the first one goes to us. Now I've got vet 3 on my stews. We're going to be deadly. So this has been a really fun game, which actually had a lot of toss and turns. It was really in their hands in the early game, but we were able to stay in there just about and take control of the middle and southern positions. Because of this, we're able to win the game, only barely though. By this point though, with the Blitzkrieg Doctrine, it's so anti-infantry based that like Micro can't do anything other than just take a lot of casualties. I mean, look at this folk squad. 34 kills on that folk squad. It's fucking ridiculous. And my units, I mean, 27 on those guys. What's on these? What's on those? 3 on them. Well, they're not that good. What are you? 31. Like, so my infantry are racking up kills, as are my stews. My stews are what, on 12, 21, 15. There is nothing they can do anymore. Our infantry are now superior. As you can see, we're just going to have another battle here, and I can just completely force back, because I've got the munitions to burn. I can force back Micro's blobs, and then we can force the north and southern positions, and it's more or less GG here. Well, it was GG a while ago. So round 1 does go to us, and we managed to get into the quarterfinals of this tournament, and I'll hopefully be able to put up the whole series before I go to university, which is next week. Hooray! So hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of this series. And you can see why infantry robbing and going heavy infantry with the Americans is never really a good idea, because if this happens to you, you're just going to get outdone in the late game by Wehrmacht. You have to prepare earlier than this for actual anti-infantry. I have nothing else to say now. You've seen this. Smash. They're just joking around now. I think actually we do need these things though. That damage actually. So yeah, that is done. that is done. And yeah, thank you for watching, and this has been Lee Garden. I'll be back for round 2 of the THQ tournament. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think. Lee Garden Free signing out shortly. Yeah, there we go. Lee Garden Free signing out.